all the solutions we put together, all of the companies have thousands and millions of users already out there. It's easy to open a Microsoft file inside of Collabora. That's nothing we have to worry about. And so this is so powerful to build on those experiences.
Welcome back to the Open Matters podcast, the podcast where we talk about open source matters that matter. Governments around the world are increasingly talking about reducing dependencies, avoiding vendor lock-in, and building more resilient digital infrastructure. But talk is cheap. The real question is, what happens when a government actually tries to assemble its own digital workplace? Not by writing everything from scratch, not by nationalizing the tech sector, but by pulling together open source solutions into something that can operate at a national scale. And that is precisely what is happening in Germany. ZenDiS, the Center for Digital Sovereignty of Public Administration, is a government-owned company with a very unusual mission. It's not a ministry, it's not a vendor, and it's not just funding open source projects and wishing them the best of luck. It's building and operating open infrastructure for the public sector. And today we are joined by two people right at the center of this story. Victor Moster is a product manager at ZenDiS, and joining him is Thorsten Behrens. Thorsten is one of my colleagues at Collabora Productivity and is doing excellent things, as he has been doing for decades now in the open source industry. Victor, Thorsten, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for your invitation.
Thanks so much for having us. A pleasure to be here.
So Victor, tell us a little bit more about ZenDiS. What's the German name before I...
Zentrum für digitale Souveränität. Probably a really nice, bureaucratic, typical German name for such an organization as we are.
So you're sitting in a very unusual space. It's a government-owned organization, but operating more like a company. You're not a ministry, as far as I understand. You're not a vendor. What are you?
So basically, we are a government-owned company, which is kind of, I would say, an invention of German bureaucracy to become more flexible outside of bureaucratic structures. So we understand ourselves as part of German public administration, but we have some benefits on how we can operate. So what we do is basically building products for the public administration to help them to become more digital sovereign.
So Thorsten, you're the accounts manager, account lead with ZenDiS. How have you found working with them? How does that differ to another customer?
So actually, the relationship with ZenDiS is much more like a partnership rather than a customer supplier relationship, because ZenDiS is quite full of smart people doing all this integration work and also doing product management. So it's much more like one of our classic partnership agreements here. And as such, deep integration, very deep technical conversations also that we're having here, including investment and shared investment into product development.
So help me understand, and other listeners, why is this a significant movement? Why has this gathered lots of news media coverage, not just in Germany, but around the world?
So the German government, they found out, I guess it was in 2019, that they were heavily dependent on some big tech players when they were looking in the data center, which software is running there, which tools they are using. It was like a political decision that they had to somehow address this topic by that time, just having in mind the topic of risk management, and being dependent is a high risk for own operations. And that's when they started with two initiatives. First, they decided to found an organization which is taking care of all these topics of digital sovereignty, which today is ZenDiS. And the second initiative, which the government here in Germany started, is our flagship product, which we probably will talk a lot about today, and where we are also working a lot together with you, Thorsten, and with Collabora Online, which is openDesk, our office and collaboration suite. And so these two initiatives, these were the programs initiated by the German federal government to address the topic of digital sovereignty And I guess recently, probably in the last 2 years, we saw that the topic became more popular and popular on every level, on every federal level in Germany, but also abroad, because the topic itself, it's just not only something German, but everyone who is dependent on software needs to address those topics.
And you say that this is the federal government that is looking into this, so that doesn't sound like a small experiment. Do you have any numbers on the sort of investment there?
So I guess sharing numbers is probably kind of misleading in terms of how many millions the government is investing here, but probably it's more impressive on talking about numbers on how many people are working on a daily basis, for example, for the whole thing. When we look on openDesk, ZenDiS as a company has now 45 employees. We are growing from month to month. So we are kind of still in our startup phase and scaling up. But for openDesk, it's not only those 45 people working, but also we see it in a broader ecosystem, because when we look, for example, on all the partners, on all the vendors who are delivering software which is integrated in openDesk, the whole ecosystem at the moment for everyone who's working on a daily basis somehow with openDesk is more than 250 people. So this is just like one number, I think, which is quite impressive already to share. And also some more numbers, maybe talking about users. openDesk is not just some kind of idea or project out there. It's already heavily used in the public administration here in Germany. So we are at the moment talking about 80,000 daily users out there. So it's not just like an experiment, but it's a real product used in the public administration.
That sounds quite significant. So this is not just politicians talking about vague ideas. There is some quite serious action behind it. So if the government is stepping into software delivery on this kind of scale, that's inevitably going to change the market. Is the goal to create more competition? Is it to create an entirely new product? Is it something else? What is your end goal?
So, I mean, the end goal is pretty easy to describe. The end goal is not like delivering the new biggest collaboration software or Office suite. Our main goal is becoming more and more sovereign for the German administration. So this is the main goal from ZenDiS. Also, that's what openDesk is used for, and what it's more like a vehicle for becoming more independent, more sovereign. But talking about goals in openDesk, it's not like we want to become the biggest competitor in the market here. It's more like we definitely address the public sector in Germany. We are also heading through public sector outside of Germany. That's totally also in scope, but we understand ourselves also more like an impulse for the whole market, because we think it shouldn't be the goal of a government-owned institution to become a big market player, but it's more like moving the market in a direction, to be able or to be capable of delivering such sovereign workspace solution.
I mean, all that said, though, if you look at the product itself, openDesk, it is quite competitive, I hasten to add. If you compare that with other purely browser-based solutions, it's quite complete. So there ain't anything missing there. A few things I think are even better than anything you can get elsewhere. And just to add one more thing, so I think if you look at, so right now there are some eight vendors involved, like with plus ZenDiS, of course. And if you add just the staff, I think that's easily more than 800 people working on that product. So it's quite serious, I think. And what I really liked when I saw the first moves there, when I was not part of Collabora yet, but what I really liked was this playing to the strength of open source, which is combining what's there, integrating what's there, and if it's not integrated, then just add this little bit of glue to make it play together, rather than inventing everything from scratch like the usual proprietary vendor playbook. So that was really nice to see. And then, of course, it's complemented with other things like a sovereign cloud stack. So the overall push toward using open source and putting things into place, integrating it in a way that people can actually use that, like end users or industry at large. That's really quite extraordinary. And I was really kind of pleased to see that kind of originating in Germany. So that was awesome.
So maybe to add a little on what you just said, Thorsten, definitely openDesk is a competitive solution, but I guess we have, from a ZenDiS perspective, we have to somehow differentiate between like the ZenDiS goal itself and where openDesk could head in the future. Because for us, when we look outside the public administration, we see the task of ZenDiS more to create an ecosystem, like a typical open source ecosystem where the solution can grow, where it could also grow further than just like the market we are addressing as ZenDiS. And that's also, just to add on that side.
So we've started talking a bit about openDesk. We mentioned there's 8 different vendors all working together. From the outside, that might sound like it's a bit messy. I guess that's a lot of your job, right, Victor? You're the product manager. So what is it like working with 8 different companies to produce one solution? And what is the magic glue? What's the secret sauce to making this all work?
So I guess the first hurdle on that sense is like German bureaucracy. Again, I mean, it's not like we just go on the market and see, okay, there are 8 nice solutions. Let's put them all together. There's the nice rule of public tenders, which is kind of hindering, but also like giving possibilities on how to stick or openDesk together. So that was like the first step we had to take when we were creating openDesk as a solution as it is today. But talking more on a daily basis, it's really important to find like the exact role of each and every vendor, what is expected from everyone, to what extent they are participating here in the project. For us, it's really important that you're not just like working on, there's a task, please Collabora, can you fulfill it? And then you're bringing back your solutions, and then we are back integrating everything. For us, it's really important also to see how you are developing your solutions and all the other vendors are developing their solutions, and then bringing all those things back together to integrate into openDesk. From a technical perspective, it's challenging, definitely, but also it's quite challenging from a project management, product management perspective. I mean, just mentioning one example, every product has a different release cycle. And so when we are doing an openDesk release, I mean, customers expect that we have the newest version from each and every product integrated. So we have, for example, to align on just something basic like on when do we do our releases, how often do we release, etc. So there are many challenges, but for us, it's really important that we are not just like project managing the whole thing, but that we are really having an idea where we want to go with openDesk, and that we can transport this idea. Also that we as ZenDiS really understand what you are doing, where you are heading through, as all the other vendors as well. So that's, I guess, key, and that's also why it's so important that there's this organization as ZenDiS as it is, compared, for example, like 2-3 years ago when openDesk was like still built by the ministry. So it was like way more messy and really not possible to create a product out of it. So this was, I guess, the biggest step, creating a product which is market ready, And that helped a lot, coming closer together with all the partners, with all the vendors, creating a common goal and bringing users on the platform.
So you already have some quite significant users. I think you mentioned earlier something like 80,000 teachers in Baden-Württemberg. There was some interesting news even from outside of Germany last year. What are you learning from these early adopters?
We are learning a lot. First, what we learned really with the first adoption of openDesk by users, by organizations, was people don't use openDesk just as their workspace solutions. There are plenty of scenarios out there on how you can use openDesk in your organization. Sure, that's why openDesk was built like that, as a workspace solution, but you can also use it for project management inside an organization, but also when you are working together with a couple of organizations. Best example here is we use openDesk for developing openDesk. We are working there with all vendors, also with our customers. Everyone is working on one platform, on one openDesk instance, and this is really, really helpful to further develop openDesk. But also we have like network organizations out there who are like more a network of different organizations inside the public sector, and they don't have any infrastructure at all to work together, because if they use the infrastructure from company A or from organization A, from the ministry A, they may use it inside the ministry, inside that one organization, but outside the access is completely blocked due to security reasons. And so that's also an idea how you can use openDesk in kind of a different way, bringing organizations back together. And just recently where we stepped in is, for example, becoming like a backup infrastructure, because every organization has kind of their infrastructure on what they are working today, but not really a lot of organizations are taking care of what happens if this infrastructure isn't available in some sense of crisis. Could be a natural catastrophe, could be some hacking, whatsoever you can imagine. And that's also where we see it's a really big market where openDesk can step in, becoming this kind of business continuity solution.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, I think, also from me, like how to differentiate because of this purely browser-based solution that was probably making that approach pretty compelling, because you really don't need any devices there, like no corporate network, no laptops working. You just need the server spun up and somehow the data there. So this disaster recovery story, can imagine that right now there's some contingency planning all over the place. So yeah.
So we're on the Open Matters podcast. We like to talk about open source things. Victor, can you just help our listeners understand a little bit more? Why is it important for you to have chosen open source solutions? You've got 8 different vendors. You're putting them all together. None of them are proprietary. All are very open. Why was that important to ZenDiS?
From our understanding, that's the only way on how to become sovereign. Becoming more sovereign means not being dependent on organizations or on countries or whatsoever, how you want to define it. And if you want to become more sovereign, the only way how to be that is, from our understanding, in a digital sense, using open source software. Because then you as a user or you as the organization using that software, it's all in your hand. You know the code, you are able to decide on how you want to deploy it. You can even adjust things. So these are all the baseline requirements we have when we want to build a sovereign solution. And for us, the real interesting way, or why the decision was taken here, for example, on how we differentiate from the French approach, is working together with open source solutions which are already out there. The French, for example, they also build a workspace solutions, but they build it from scratch. They build it really aligned on the needs from the French public administration. which is also an approach you can go. But the German approach always had in mind that if you want to scale, you need strong partners. And if you have strong partners, that's also where you can build relations. You can use their products just like in a free and open source way. So you're still really, really sovereign, but also you have everything you need to run those kind of software in a ecosystem which is used by thousands of users. This is really key to openDesk working together with you as vendors. It's something open source software is always facing, I guess. This kind of, it's free, it's just some small company working on open source solution out there, so better not use it in a professional environment. And that's what we are addressing when we talk or when we work together with you vendors. Because then it's not just open source, then it's professional software, it's a professional product, and it can be scaled and used by thousands of users.
Just to echo that, again, I think it's the right approach there and quite smart, because there was existing solutions, open source solutions that have already been validated in the marketplace, that some of them already had integrations. So that was probably the quickest and fastest and probably also the most cost-effective way to get quite a good up-to-date market-ready solution there, while at the same time, of course, fostering existing open source solutions so that we can all grow together there. Versus other approaches, which are, as you say, viable as well, but probably with different focus and different targets.
It's interesting looking through the list of vendors. There's obviously a German theme, but they are by no means exclusively German. We have XWiki is based in France. We've got Elements and Matrix. We've got Collabora Online is not German. I guess it means you can just pull together whatever you want. And because you have full access to that source code, you have none of those dependencies. It really frees you from all sorts of problems.
And I mean, also to add again here, I mean, all the solutions we put together, they're out on the market for years, for decades. All of the companies have thousands and millions of users already out there. And so this is so powerful to build on those experiences.
So, Victor, we were speaking a couple of weeks ago in preparation for the podcast, and you spoke about some exciting ideas, plans for 2027, which would then impact what's going on for this year. So could you share with us what is your hope for the next year or so? So
26 has a clear scope for us, which is rather good and helps us a lot. So 26 is a year of preparation. Last year, in the end of last year, political agendas were published, especially on the federal level. And these are the agendas which are also the ones leading our plans for the future. And starting with 2027, the federal government said they want to start heavily rolling out openDesk, rolling out a sovereign workspace solution. So for us, then this year definitely has to be used to be finally ready to ship a product which is 100% capable of all the requirements with the German federal government.
And you say heavily rolling out. What is heavily rolling out?
Heavily rolling out means not just having some test cases with 50, 100 users, but like rolling it really out for thousands of users in the public, in the federal government. The wording there, it's still vague. Significant part of the federal government should use openDesk in 2027. But also, like, it's not only rolling, not only having a rollout in the federal government, but also like this agenda from last year states clearly that we have to focus also on state level. So all the 16 state governments in Germany are also addressed to move towards sovereign solutions. So for us, it's really you're getting ready and then rolling out on quite big scale.
So in 5 years, is every German civil servant using openDesk?
That would be amazing, I would say. I mean, probably not every civil servant, but definitely a big part of German public administration runs on openDesk.
That's very exciting. Tell me, in your view, what's the hardest thing on the road ahead? Is it the technology? Is it the management of different companies? Is it politics? Is it the end users?
So I guess there's still a lot we have to address on technology side. When we want to address technology, I guess it's not like a problem that you cannot build solutions, but it's more like then we have like the problem on really bringing the money out there. It doesn't really help just like throwing millions of euros now on openDesk, because if they're just there, ZenDiS need to scale. All the vendors need to scale. So it's a big organizational process also on how to bring the investments back to each and every product, and also in the glue of openDesk together. So this is quite a big task for this year, how we can further scale, and also how to get continuity in all this process, because it doesn't really help if we are now like talking about 10-15 millions investment in openDesk for this year, so everyone is scaling up, and then nobody knows how it will continue by the end of the year. So it's really hard on how to continue then working on the solution. So continuity definitely is key here on that side. Also on the other hand, big challenge is definitely something we need to address, our end users, and how to help them in this change process. I would say we have a lot of possibilities on how to structure work in openDesk compared to solutions which are nowadays out there. But you really have to take users on their hand and explain on how does openDesk work, how does it work differently, because most users or most organizations in public administration out there, they are not like already working in a cloud ecosystem. They're not working collaboratively. They don't really use the concept of project management. So this is something where we have a lot of power inside openDesk, but to really use that power, we have to explain it really good to the end user, how they can work better with openDesk compared to their solution today. People don't want to change. People are lazy. People would prefer just continue their work, not having to care too much about the software they're using, how it works. And so changing is always difficult, and that's, I would say, the biggest tasks we have to find solutions for, on how to address that when we want to scale our rollout.
Yeah, just to echo that, I think that's indeed the largest challenge, and like scaling that up, like this migration. We've all been doing migrations on a smaller scale, but like migrating an entire country, I think that's where we need to all like raise to the ceiling. And but yeah, it's a challenge, but I love challenges. So.
And it sounds like in many ways it's not just a migration, as you said, Victor. It is moving to something quite different with a lot more capability, a lot more power.
Yeah, so I would say when we would talk about just migrations, this is an easier task. That's also where you and all the other vendors were preparing a lot throughout the last years. I mean, it's easy to open a Microsoft file inside of Collabora, so that's nothing we have to worry about. There's comparability, not comparability, compatibility. Thank you. It's given. So, but it's like really adapting processes which are out there in openDesk. That's like the big challenge.
Thorsten, just before we close out, tell me what excites you about the future of working together with ZenDiS?
Clearly, the scale and the potential of this is quite exciting. So not just because the German public administration is planning to use that, but it's interesting, and the leads and the interest is coming like it's essentially across the world. Given the geopolitical landscape and everything that is happening right now, and so then this being based on projects and products that my heart is close to, and then all of that being open source and truly open source, like with everything out there, including tests and deployment, etc. That's what really excites me, and the potential of that is just limitless.
And that leads me nicely on to the last question that I have for you, Victor, then. What happens if other countries or organizations, perhaps outside of Germany, want to copy this? Does sovereignty require public institutions to develop all of their own work? What would be your advice? How would you encourage others around the world?
Like, my advice would be not copying solutions, but like cooperating. I guess this is key here, and this is also that's what open source and open source communities and open source ecosystems were teaching us throughout the last decades. It's about cooperations and finding the sweet spot where two organizations, where two entities both profit from each other, and then finding a common solution for the problem. And that's also what we are, where we see us or our role. It's not like shipping openDesk throughout the whole world, but being more like as a reference product and showcasing it's doable, that you can use open source software. You can build such a nice integrated solution. Best case, we all work together on making openDesk better altogether. Also, that's why our big focus is now building up this ecosystem so that we can really talk about how to cooperate together. And it's not like just using the stuff which is done there in Germany and implementing it in another country, but making it better so that everyone can profit at the end.
Yeah, thanks so much, Victor, for saying that. Yes, and so much yes. That's really the core idea of open source, which is like reuse as a first step, and then cooperate and collaborate on bringing things forward jointly. And yeah, thanks so much for saying that.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. That's been really helpful. It's amazing to learn about what the German government is up to. Victor, we wish you the best of luck with all of your work, and we are excited to hear about the next installments of ZenDiS and openDesk.
Maybe just a small block of advertisement here. If you're interested in what's going on around openDesk, just visit our website, opendesk.eu. Everything is published also in English. So check out our blog, our news postings, and stay up to date.
Amazing. Thank you very much to both of you.